In today's Prep Rally podcast, spring sports have passed the halfway point, and we will talk about some major feats of the week.
It's the Prep Rally Podcast, the only podcast in the state dedicated to prep sports. Brought to you by the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Here's your host, Chip Souza.
Welcome to the Prep Rally Podcast. I'm Chip Souza, joined by the whole gang. Hail, hail, the gang is all here today. Ricky Fires, Paul Boyd, Henry Apple, Leland Barclay. Everybody who's anybody is here.
At least the starting five.
At least the starting five. We're the Fab Five. We're the Fab Five.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
We're the Fab Five.
Did you say Flab
Five?
Flab
Five, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I might have
I
mispronounced
got
that.
that.
Yeah. So this is, we are now in the first week of April, getting the second week of April, past the halfway point, Henry, or in the horse racing terms, Ricky, we are heading for the stretch run.
Yes. On the backside, that's when you get up and start saying, come on, come on, come on, come on. Then that's when your horse starts to fade. I've done it a million times.
Yeah, you thought you that close.
Almost winner.
That close, almost. So we are, again, past the halfway point in baseball. Now, Henry, for the smaller schools, so the 4As and 3As, they're past the halfway point. They're coming up on their fix to start their postseason here pretty soon.
In just 2 weeks, conference tournaments will show up. So there's not a lot of time left for them to, hey, if you want to get a top seed, you better start working for it.
That's right. So we're going to talk about baseball first. So, Henry, Rogers Heritage came into this week having won, was it 15, 16, 17 in a row?
They had actually lost a non-conference game Thursday against Bentonville West.
Okay.
So their streak got broken, but then they come back Friday and won another non-conference game. So technically, they had won 17 out of the last 18 games
coming into this week. Now, they were taking on Bentonville on Monday. Set that scene for us, Henry.
At first, it looks like another Heritage. The hot streak continues. They jump out to a 3-0 lead in the first inning, and you're thinking, man, here we go. Score doesn't even change until the bottom of the fifth. Bentonville scores twice, makes it 3-2, had the bases loaded, and Jack Ham caught 2 line drives to end a Bentonville scoring threat. So it's 3-2. Now we go to the bottom of the sixth. Bentonville gets 2 bases loaded walks and takes a 4-3 lead.
That's what you call an unforced
error.
Unforced things there, Paul.
Sure.
That's it. Yeah, boy, But you know what, Henry? I think you hit on something right before that. You said that Bentonville had scalded a couple of line drives before that. So, Rick, you cover enough baseball, Paul. If you're catching line drives, they're on you. They're on you. They're hitting you hard. Okay. Yeah.
So 4-3. Bentonville now has the lead. Top of the seventh immediately. Heritage starts off with a triple, then a single. That tied the game.
Yep.
Sacrifice bunt, then a double. It's now 5-4 Heritage. Now we go to the bottom of the seventh inning. You're thinking, well, Bentonville, they just rallied, but now they've lost it. How are they going to react? Well, here's how they reacted with 1 out. Carter Nye laced a single right in the left field. I mean, just a good, solid single to set the stage for Rowan Christensen, who at the time, he had never hit a home run, and he couldn't even recall ever in his career having a game-winning hit. One swing of the bat, he took care of both things, a 2-run jack over the left field fence.
Wow. Was it like the natural? Did you hear the music? Dun, 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 and light fireworks? No? None of that?
No, none of that, but it went over.
It would have been really cool if that would have happened.
And so 6-5 Bentonville.
Wow, what a big win. And then Bentonville finished it off on Tuesday. Finished off the sweep right there. So
Carter Knight then comes up and threw 5 innings of one-hit ball, and they scored all 5 runs in the 5th inning to win 5-1.
So, Henry, Heritage was the team that was nipping on Rogers' heels a little bit in there. Now, Rogers won both of their games this week. First game was a very good game against Bentonville West on Monday. 1-0, right? So, very, very good game there. Took care of business a little bit more on Tuesday. I think it was like 10-1, 10-0.
10-0 in 6 innings.
So now Rogers has a 3-game lead in the
They
standings?
have it in the loss column. They have at least a 3-game lead on everybody else.
Yeah.
And it was something that Todd Abbott and I talked about this Monday afternoon. I said, man, it seems like every week now you take everybody's name in the hat in the 6A West, throw them in a hat, shake it up, and throw it down. You're going to get a new alignment, except for Rogers is at the top, and everybody else just jockeys for position.
That race for the number 2 seed is going to be interesting, which Leland kicks it over to you now. So yesterday I drove down to Fort Smith. The UA Fort Smith had a Hall of Fame induction banquet down there. I went down there, and by the way, congratulations to those who were inducted, including my longtime friend Taz Tonger, who was the groundskeeper at Hunts Park before he was ever at UA Fort Smith. And Leland, this is interesting. Squeaky, he was keeping the grounds at Hunts Park for Squeaky Smith. So he was like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I remember in Legion Ball one time we went over to play Kerwin's, and we had a pretty fast team. We stole a lot of bases, and we got over there, and it was like quicksand.
Well, he was
which is the sign of a good groundskeeper.
Yeah. Well, he was taking care of Hunts Park, and then someone, I don't know who, went and told Bill Crowder, who was the baseball coach at UA Fort Smith, and said, listen, you need to get this guy who's maintaining, and also Taz helped build Field of Dreams too in Van Buren, by the way. But they said, you need to go get this guy and take him over to West Ark and work on the field over there. And Coach Crowder went over there and got him. That's the best recruiting signing he ever got, was getting Taz. And I'm going to tell you, I would put their ball field at UA Fort Smith against any, including Baum.
And when you're there, you better act right.
You better act right.
I mean, that's his field. You don't throw trash on the field.
No.
You don't get in the stripe lines and all that.
Yeah.
He'll get you.
So Leland, I was over there yesterday and had a few minutes, and I drove over to Hunts Park, and I don't think you could have squeezed in another person at Hunts Park yesterday. It was jam-packed for North Side, South Side.
Oh, yeah, it was, like you'd expect, a North Side, South Side game. Plus, it was, there was a big game for the conference standings. Plus, the weather was just great, and everybody wanted to get out. I think there were people parking on top of the hill by the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
There were people parking over at Creekmore Park. There were people parking over at the girls and boys clubs, and it was quite a day for baseball.
It was awesome. And Southside got the win in that one yesterday. Now they will play again today.
9-3.
They'll play again today over at Southside's ballpark at Forsgren Field. They'll play over there today to wrap up that one. But again, this 6A West, it looks like it's going to be Rogers. I don't see a letdown there, Henry. I think Rogers will maintain this the rest of the way. But that fight for that number 2, number 3, number 4, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, you have right now, Heritage has 4 losses. Harbor has 4 losses. Fayetteville has 4 losses. Now, Harbor and Fayetteville play again today, so somebody's going to get their 5th loss.
Yeah.
And lurking right just behind them with now 6-6 is Bentonville.
Yeah, Bentonville creeping up. They're creeping up. So that's what 6A West baseball looks like. Leland, give me a real quick rundown on 5A West.
Well, it's Greenwood, leading everybody right now. 8-0. Boy, they're getting great pitching from, the 2 starters, Aiden Kennan and Grant Carnes, and then Austin Mitchell out of the bullpen. And going into last night's doubleheader sweep at Siloam Springs, which was 12-0 and 2-0, they were hitting .418 as a team in conference play. And I imagine after last night that might have went up a little bit. So they're definitely the front runner. Van Buren came into last night 1-5, but they got a sweep of over Alma, so that's that tightens the race a little bit too. But Greenwood's definitely the front runner at this point.
There you go. So let's kick over to soccer, Ricky. You are. I can't even keep up with the conference race because it's so started late and it's kind of quirky and it's single elimination. Yeah, all this. But we know Bentonville West. You saw them play the other day. Talking about the girls on the girls side. We know there are at least 3 very, very, very good girls teams. Bentonville West, of course, the defending state champions. Fayetteville.
I think Fayetteville's undefeated. Girls.
Fayetteville's undefeated, and they were the state champions until last year when Bentonville West beat them.
Yeah.
And we know Rogers is very good. Is there
Yeah.
any surprise teams in there on the girls' side that we're looking at?
No, I think it's kind of top-heavy here and then a big gap with the rest of them.
Now, what about on the boys' side? I haven't kept track with the boys as much as I have the girls.
But Bentonville, the usual.
Okay.
Contenders, Bentonville, Fayetteville. Springdale, they've won state championship. They got 3 or 4 to their name. But and I was there at the Super S, which
Big
is
S, yeah.
Gerald Williams Bulldog Stadium.
Yeah.
And they kind of got it surprised last night. Whenever you're ready to talk about that game, I can talk.
Let's talk about
that.
it.
All right, let's go. Rogers Heritage boys in danger of going 0-3 after they lost to West and Bentonville. But, man, they come into Gerald Williams Bulldog Stadium and won that game 1-0 on a goal by Brandon Gallardo. But, man, they're 1-0. I keep forgetting that.
Henry just yellow carded you. You got a yellow card.
1-0. And our goalie, the Springdale High goalie, my goodness. Springdale could have won that game 3-4-1, but the Heritage goalie was really fantastic in that game. When we get to our feat of the week, I'll talk about that a little bit more.
His feats, is he going to be the feats of the week?
Yep.
So, all right. So let's talk about a little softball. In the 6A West last night, Rogers, they had to go to extras. Paul had to go to extras at Bentonville West. Bentonville West gave them a heck of a game last night, and Bentonville West is capable. They've got pretty much, Henry, a whole new team. Stephanie Crittenden is a name that you remember from the past, maybe a couple other names, but for the most part, a lot of new faces for the Lady Wolverines. But, man, they gave Rogers all they wanted, took it to extras. Rogers had taken a 2-0 lead, and that's usually been enough for their two pitchers, Ella Beeman and Ava Johnson, to nail down the win. But Bentonville West said, not so fast, not so fast.
Mm-hmm.
They came back, rallied in the bottom of the 7th, tied the game 2-2. They go to extras, and then Rogers got a couple of runs there in the top of the 8th, and then Ava Johnson kind of shut it down there, and Rogers got a 4-2 win. But they had to really scrap for it. And according to our young lady who covered the game for us last night, Katie Parker, Coach Hannah Neal, who played at Springdale, she had to kind of rally the troops in there and maybe give them put a little gasoline under them there, kind of light them up a little bit. And I was talking with Paul about this earlier, and I said, she's a first-year coach, feeling her way around, trying to still figure out how to maybe handle some situations or whatever that you learn as you experience. But one thing she does know, she was a player. And so lighting a fire under them, I don't think is a problem for her. And she was able to get that done, and they responded and came back with a 4-2 win to keep them within a game of Bentonville. Bentonville won big yesterday. They're undefeated in the conference. And Springdale Harbor, Ricky, they won again. They won again yesterday. They are on a roll. If my math is correct, that's 8 in a row for them.
Wow.
And
what a turnaround.
Absolutely. Candy Bailey's doing a great job. They got a big girl in the circle, Paul Aniston Reith. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm sure I'm butchering her last name. I know how to spell it. I just don't know how to say it.
Yes.
But she's a sophomore, big 6-foot sophomore.
Oh, wow.
And she's twirling it in there pretty good. And she also swings that stick pretty well. And she's got 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs on the season. So
our player of the week.
Player of the week.
Yes.
And Candy Bailey has a player she can build around right there. She's going to have her for 2 more years. So softball is alive and well in the 6A West. Leland over in the 5A West. Van Buren yesterday played Alma. How did that turn out?
Van Buren won both games, 10-1 in the opener, 10-0 in the second one. Emberlyn Caldwell struck out 15 in the opener and gave up a solo home run. That was the only hit she allowed. She allowed 4 hits in the nightcap.
Wow.
Got the 6-run shutout victory in that one.
Wow.
I forget how many hits. I think they had 16 hits in the opener, Van Buren did, and they now lead the conference by 2 games over Harrison, and Van Buren goes to Harrison next Tuesday night for a 5A West varsity doubleheader that will probably decide the conference, either decide the conference or tighten things up.
There you go. Well,
So she pitched both games, all innings.
Yep.
So yeah, I hadn't
Yes.
covered softball in a while, so that's not uncommon. Then.
No.
Yeah.
So Van Buren has Emberline Caldwell, and she is phenomenal. She's well over 100 strikeouts.
Okay.
She's a phenomenal season. Won in just a long line. If you look at the softball standings, which I do every week, I put a threshold in there when I do the softball stats, and I kind of have a 400 threshold. So if you're batting over 400, I feel like you need to be listed. Well, normally, that's about 20 batters.
Yeah.
Right now, it's about 45 batters batting over 400. Normally, I put a threshold on ERA at about 2.5. Anything over 2.5, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to put that in there. I've got like 15, 16 pitchers with 2.5, and several of these teams have 2 pitchers at that level.
Wow.
So softball is fantastic in this region, and when I say this region, I'm talking from Mansfield to Hackett, all the way through up to Van Buren, Bentonville. It's great softball being played, and I think a lot of that has to do with some really good summer leagues. These girls are playing a lot of travel ball and going to Oklahoma and playing over there. And one thing about it, and Leland, you know this, if a girl wants to get better at softball, the best thing for her to do is to go play in tournaments in Oklahoma where they take softball way serious over there. Okay. And, yeah, you might get it crammed down your throat a few times, but if you want to get better at this, you go play the best competition. And the fortunate thing for our Arkansas girls, and you're seeing this, they don't have very far to go to get the best competition they can face.
Yeah, when I was covering softball for a while, about half of them seemed like they went over there and played in Tulsa area.
Yeah. Well,
and got really well.
Oklahoma, very, very good softball, and it's fortunate we're right next door to them, and our girls can get on these summer teams and travel teams, and they go right over to Oklahoma and play. And it's, if you want to, what they say, Ricky, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Hey,
and that's the best.
And every time we start talking about softball, I always think about Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
I was sitting down there at the Fort Smith Times Record, and I got a call from this guy, and basically he said, "What are y'all doing playing that slow pitch softball?" Well, I don't know. This way it's always been. And he's the one that got it changed, got it rolling.
Yeah.
And look at them now.
Yeah.
They showed that they can do this.
Well, and Ricky, you're seeing it too on the collegiate level. We know Arkansas's good program. UCA has beaten them twice now. They're good. It's spread around. A lot of these teams are getting better, and it's because the girls in our state are getting better.
Yep.
And if you don't have to look very far to see it, you look at the Monday Preps stat leaders, and it's showing you right there what these girls are capable of, and which kind of brings us back to our feats of the week. So normally we bring you 3 feats of the week. This week, I think we're going to bring you about 4 or 5 feats of the week. So I'm going to start out. I'll tell you what. Henry said he had 2. Henry said he has 2 feats of the week. So we're going to both baseball or one track, one baseball.
One baseball, one track.
One baseball, one track. So here we go. Number 1 feat of the week.
I'm going with my man, Rowan Christensen.
There we go.
With the 2-run home run in the bottom of the 7th
The
inning.
walk-off yakety yak.
Yeah.
Yes.
The no-doubter over the left field fence to give Bentonville the 6-5 win over Rogers Heritage.
Well, that's definitely a feat. That's absolutely. Give me your track feat.
We've heard this name time and time again over the last 2 years, but Anna Woolsey from
boy.
Ozark
Yep.
Yes.
goes to the Sand Lizard Relays at Dardanelle.
Had to be at Dardanelle. Had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many points?
Yeah.
56 out of Ozark's 99 points was scored by her.
How's that even possible?
She won the 100,
That's 10,
the 200,
20,
the 400,
30,
the 100 hurdles,
40,
and the pole vault.
50,
50.
And she finished third in the long jump.
There you
Now,
Oh, come on.
and it wasn't by much.
Okay.
All right.
So let's put this in perspective.
Wow.
50
She's the Jim Thorpe of girls track
Yeah,
is what she is.
56 points in that track meet. Had she had been a one-person team.
Yeah.
Okay,
Where
Yeah,
did she
just her.
finish?
she finishes third by herself.
Wow.
I was guessing like 8th or 9th.
Third out of 17 teams.
Wow.
Wow.
The University of Anna Worsley.
Yeah.
Woolsey. She ain't pulling the Woolsey
Well,
over
and-
anybody's eyes. She's
Well,
yeah.
and to take that a tiny bit further, even the 56 points she scored, That's her third straight meet over 50 points scored.
Wow.
Goodness.
That's you know what? That props to her.
Big props.
That's
an athlete.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I am telling you. And Henry, you'll get a chance to see her at the heptathlon.
And not only that, the Class 4A state meet at Clarksville.
That's right.
So,
That's
you know,
right. Wow.
Washita Baptist is getting
Yeah, they're getting
them
a great
nice
one right
find.
there. They're getting a great one right there. Anna Woolsey, 56 points in her track meet this week. Like Leland said, the third time this year she has scored over 50 by herself.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's Jim Thorpe-esque. So that's two great feats right there, Henry. Leland, give me your feat of the week.
You guys, we went on a pretty good, segment there on girls softball.
Yeah,
Well, Mackenzie Freeman
heard
from
that
Hackett
name. Yep.
twirled her third perfect game of the season on Monday night
And
against
eighth
Two
of
Rivers.
her career. Eighth of her
And
career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eighth of her career, which puts her one away from tying the state record, which, by the way, she's a sophomore.
By the way, she is a sophomore.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
But the one on Monday, it was 23-0. Hackett scored 4 runs in the first inning, 6 in the second, and then 13. So they ended the game via the mercy rule or the run rule early. So it was only a 3-inning perfect game, but it still counts because
It
it's
counts.
not her
Perfect
fault that
game.
the game ended early.
That's right.
She faced 9 batters and struck them all out.
Wow. Well, that's not 21 out of 21, but that's a pretty good day.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty good day. And her sister, they are the dynamic duo of the Hackett team. They bat 1 and 2 in the order. McCallan, I think, is her sister's name. I can't pronounce Michealyn. McCallan, I think, is how you say that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name.
She bats lead
Bats
off,
lead
I
off.
think. And I think if I remember it correctly, I think the number I saw was she threw 37 pitches
Golly,
in those 3 innings.
Wow.
that is fantastic. All right, Ricky, that is feat number 3. You're at feat number 4.
All right, not many teams going to Springdale and win, and Rogers Heritage was backed up. They were 0-2 in the league. You certainly don't want to go 0-3. Rogers Heritage won the game on a goal by Brandon Gallardo, but they wouldn't have won the game if not for the goalkeeping of my man, Daniel Tellez, senior. Right at the beginning, man, Springdale peppered the goal 4 or 5 times, couldn't get anything past this kid, diving. Then it kind of got settled in through the middle, and then here at 5.5 minutes to go, Springdale went on the attack, and again, the Heritage defense, they blocked some, but some of them got through, and Tellez, he made at least 3 or 4 diving saves. So instead of a 1-1 or losing 3-1, 4-1, Rogers Heritage gets the win. They absolutely had to have a pivotal win to go to 1-2 in the league, 7-3 overall. They got a bye, then they jump back into conference play next week. So they had to have that, and mainly because they won the game because of Daniel Tellez, my feat of the week.
Using his
Feet.
feet and hands.
And hands.
Yeah, there you go.
You can do that in soccer.
You can do that in soccer if you're the goalie.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 4 feats of the week. Now, here's my feat of the week. Brinkley Moreton. Raise your hand if you've heard this name before. From Lincoln. She, again, like Mackenzie Freeman, Leland, is a sophomore.
Yep.
She is at Lincoln. They went over and played Elkins in a doubleheader, and in this doubleheader, game 1, she's in the circle. She pitches a one-hitter. Close to a perfect game. She did walk one. Pitched a one-hitter, struck out 14, and also helped her cause by hitting a home run. In game 2, she's out of the circle playing shortstop or wherever she plays, but she hit 2 more home runs. So 3 home runs, 14 strikeouts, a one-hitter. That's a pretty good day.
Oh, my goodness, it is.
That's a pretty good feat right there. That's a pretty good feat. So my question, Henry, is why are teams pitching to her? She's now got 13 home runs on the season. 13.
Well, you just hope nobody's in front of her when she gets to the plate.
Yeah,
That's for
she
sure.
she will take it out, and most of the time, she's going to hit it, and most of the time they're
Would
picking
you
it up on
walk
the
her
other side.
bases empty?
Heck yes, I'd walk her. I'm
Okay.
saying, hey, you ain't padding your stats on me. I might throw it inside on her.
Okay.
Hey, I ain't afraid to put a girl down in the batter's box. Okay, that's just the way it goes. You get in that box. Go ahead, get in that box.
Wave her through. Okay.
I show no gender bias. I'm putting you down. There you go. So anyway, Brinkley Moreton, great softball player at Lincoln, and they won that, swept that doubleheader. They are now 18-8, and it's going to be a great 3A regional, 3A state. 3A regional is, I believe, Henry, at Lincoln. I think that's right. I might be wrong. It might be at Valley
I know
Springs.
the 3A state is at Lincoln.
3A state's at Lincoln for sure.
Greenland?
So Greenland's hosting 2A state.
2A.
And Lincoln, I think, has 3A state, but 3A regional, I can't remember. That might be at Valley Springs. I think,
be.
Which would be probably at Harrison. But anyway, it'll be a great one because you're going to get Hackett. Man, it's going to be some great softball there. Mansfield beat Hackett, by the way, last week in a 2-1 game. Tremendous game.
Yeah.
And Leland, I've gone blank. Allison Edwards at Mansfield. Yes. Big-time pitcher for them, big-time athlete for them, period, and everything. Yes. And so she went against Mackenzie Freeman in a great game, 2-1. And don't forget, Boonville's still lurking down there. Lexi Franklin is capable of beating anybody any day. So great softball. It doesn't have to just have a 6 in front of that letter. It can have a 3 or a 2 or whatever, and there's great softball.
See, that's what's amazing about this. When Arkansas first adopted softball, coach was here, they'd get a lot of them from the West Coast, which it was big. But now you see in the girls, not only University of Arkansas is getting Arkansas girls, UCA last night, the Bentonville girl, Jenna, what's her name?
Jenna Wildman, who
who
broke like a national record for stolen bases already there.
Yeah, she's a top player, and she's at UCA. And you know what? They need to get some of them over there at Arkansas State. Me and Paul, the alma mater over there.
They got to get on the stick.
So
on
they're
that,
getting
Paul.
better.
Get on that. Get on that. By the way,
they need that sport.
You need to get with that AD and get that going.
Absolutely.
Get that going
Absolutely.
over there. Paul's got one job. That's his next job. Get that going. Get that
now
going.
they do have bowling. That's pretty good in women. They do very well. But man, it's time to bring softball to Arkansas State.
It is definitely time. Past time.
We've got enough good players here.
Absolutely. So Leland, you got any other words of wisdom from the River Valley you want to throw our way?
Pointer relays are Friday. Last week was the Airedale relays, and the track at Alma was dedicated to longtime track coach Tom McMurray.
Very much deserved. Very much deserved.
A couple of track notes there.
Yep. So, Henry, got anything to add?
We're actually going to have a second Bulldogs relays coming tomorrow at Ramey Junior High. Normally, this is the week that Bentonville West has a track meet, but because of construction over there, they're not really set up to have a bigger meet. And Fayetteville had their wide timing running festival in March called up because they said, hey, let's have another track meet here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and also, Henry, the conference 6A West conference meet is coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
A couple of weeks from tomorrow, it will be at Rogers Heritage.
Yeah. So track is they're also, Ricky, in the stretch run. In the stretch run.
You know what? And we've been whining about the weather, the cold and everything, but man, it's spectacular weather.
It's like
right
Leland,
now.
like Leland said yesterday. I was talking to Leland about the big crowd at the North Side and South Side baseball game. It was number one. It was North Side and South Side, and both teams are pretty good. They're both pretty good, and it wasn't quite hot enough for Leland. It was only about 80 yesterday down the River Valley, but it was a great day for baseball. And you know what, Leland, there's a lot worse places to be than at Hunts Park in the middle of Fort Smith on an 80-degree evening watching two good teams play. There's worse places to be than that.
Absolutely, especially when they say that it was 83 baseball degrees.
83 baseball degrees. Beautiful. There you go. So that will wrap up this edition of the Prep Rally Podcast. Thanks for being on with us, and we'll be back next week, and we'll bring you more spring prep sports. We'll also bring you more feats of the week because you know what? We have no shortage of them. We did 5 today. Probably could have done 10.
Absolutely.
Probably could have done 10. That's what kind of great athletes we have up and down the corridor from one end of the state to the other. So I'm Chip Souza for Henry Apple, Paul Boyd, Rick Fires, and Leland Barclay down in the River Valley. Thanks for listening to us, and we'll catch you next week.
The Prep Rally Podcast is produced and directed by the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher.